Hello, Form 3. Today we are going to learn about practice passages and how to answer a comprehension style question that you will get in your papers. So let's do practice passage 1 and 2A. Please turn to page number 43. Practice passage 1. Read the passage and then answer the questions about it. Use your own words as far as possible. In this story, the author describes a journey deep into the Amazon jungle, where, to the surprise of the explorers, they came across creatures which they believed no longer existed. Now remember, children, like we learnt in the previous lessons, we know how to answer a comprehension question. First, we need to look at the whole passage, read the whole passage so that we know what it's about, and then we should read the questions, and then we should, keeping the questions in mind, we should come back and read the passage with a pencil in our hands so that we can mark down the answers or underline the answers as we read for the second time. It's only after that do we start writing the answers in our paper or in our book, and the final reading or third reading should be to confirm whether our answers are right. Okay, so let's go ahead and read the passage. We passed very slowly through the woods, partly because Lord John acted as a scout before he let us advance, and partly because at every second step either one or the other of the two professors would stop with a cry of wonder before some flower or insect which presented him with a new type. We may have travelled 4 or 5 kilometres, keeping to the right of the lane of a stream, when we came upon a considerable opening in the trees. A strip of brushwood led to a tangle of rocks. In fact, the whole plateau was strewn with boulders. We were walking slowly towards these rocks, among bushes which reached our waists, when we became aware of a low, babbling and whistling sound, which filled the air with a constant clamour, and appeared to come from some spot immediately before us. Lord John held up his hand as a signal for us to stop, and he made his way swiftly, stooping and running to the line of rocks. We saw him peep over them and give a gesture of amazement. Then he stood still, as if forgetting us, so utterly hypnotized was he by what he saw. Finally he waved to us to come on, holding up his hand as a signal for caution. His whole manner made me feel that something wonderful but dangerous lay before us. Right. So I hope all of y'all read the passage with me. Right. So now let's look at the first question. Before that, do I hope you all understood what the lesson was about, what this passage was about. The idea is that of some explorers, they are on an expedition, right? They are on a journey and they are in the middle of a jungle. On one side, you get the stream, and they are walking along a path, right? And they come to a small clearing in the woods, in the jungle, where there's a lot of rocks. And from the side of the rocks, they get this low babbling and whistling sound, and they don't know what it is. So one of them, Lord John, he moves ahead and he checks out what this sound is, right? So and after he checks them out, he calls the rest of the people to come there, right? So that is the first part of the passage. Now let's look at the questions. State 2 reasons which prevented the team from moving faster than they were going. Now the answer for this, we need to go back to the passage, right? So the first line of the passage, we passed very slowly through the woods, partly because Lord John acted as a scout before he would let us advance, and partly because at every second step either one or the other of the two professors would stop with a cry of wonder before some flower or insect which presented him with a new type. So, there the first sentence itself gives us the answer. The two reasons which prevented the team from moving faster than they were going were Lord John acting as a scout, and at every second step either one or the other of the two professors stops. Right? So as you all can see, this is how you write a complete answer. A complete answer is written by taking a part of the question in your answer. So the question reads, state two reasons which prevented the team from moving faster than they were going. Then the answer starts with the two reasons which prevented the team from moving faster than they were going. That is how a complete answer is formed. Let's now look at the second question. How many explorers were on this expedition? How many do you think? First, we are introduced to this character, Lord John. And then it says that there are two professors. So there we have three people, two professors and Lord John. Then what about the writer? This is written in first person. So that it says we. The passage starts with we. That means first person. So that means the writer is also there in this group, right? So look at this. There were four explorers on this expedition. They were Lord John, the two professors, and the writer. Right. So let's now look at the third question. A strip of brushwood. What does this tell you about the shape of brushwood? A strip, right? I'm sure you all already know. A strip of brushwood could mean that it was long, thin, and or narrow, right? We usually use the word strip to mean long, thin, narrow sort of things, right? So please make sure that you answer all questions in complete sentences. From this paragraph, write out the phrase containing three consecutive words. That means the same as there were large rocks scattered about. Consecutive words means, children, one after the other. Right? So these words, these three, now they want you to find three words that come together as a phrase, as in, together as a phrase. That means there were large rocks scattered about. Can you all find three words that mean the same thing in the passage? I'm sure most of y'all have already found it, right? So, strewn with boulders, strewn with boulders. That's in the eighth line beginning, strewn with boulders, right? Lord John made this way, stooping and running to the rocks. Explain why he moved like this. Why do you stoop and run, Pute? I think, children, the reason why they stoop and run was because, see, Lord John moved like this to try and not get attention from any wild animals, for stealth, right? The meaning of the word stealth is to move without getting attention, right? So Lord John moved like this also to walk without getting attention from any wild animals, right? I'm sure in films y'all would have seen, in films like The Lost World or Jurassic Park, or even any army films that deal with the military, you would have seen that people move in one line and one person leads the way with he makes hand signals whether to stop or to go, right? So when you're reading a passage, you need to use all this additional knowledge that you all already have and make connections. Then only you all understand the passage better. Finally, he waved to us to come on. Explain in your own words the reason why Lord John did not beckon them immediately. Now, Lord John went in front because he wanted to check out what the noise was, right? But he didn't call them immediately. He didn't call the others immediately. He went, uh, he went first and he made a sign, told them to stop. Then he looked, he had a gesture of amazement, and then he called them, but he also made another signal that said caution, right? So we'll see why. Why do you all think? Lord John did not beckon them immediately because it might be dangerous, as they don't know which type of animal is making the noises. Now, this is what I thought. This is what I thought, why I thought Lord John did not call them immediately. Beckon means call, signal. So, just like this, I'm sure you can read the rest of the passage and answer the given questions. There are 3 questions altogether, divided into different parts, right? Question 1 continued, question 2 continued, and there's another question 2 continued, and then question 3, where you have to imagine and write the passage. Right, children? So, this is a very interesting passage that is taken from The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, right? I'm sure you all have watched the movies also, right? So, please read the lesson, read the passage carefully, at least twice before you start answering. And after reading the question, read the passage again with your pencil so that you can underline the answers as they come. Now, let's look at the next page, which is practice passage 2, right? In this, children, read the passage and then answer the questions about it. This passage is the first part of a past examination question. Use your own words as far as possible. Questions marked with an asterisk should be answered very briefly, and in these answers, complete sentences are not necessary. Other questions should be answered in complete and correct sentences. Right. So here, children, they have given you a very short passage, and there are questions that follow it. After every question, after each question, a comment on what is the answer and how you should write the answer properly is given. So they have made it easier for you all to write the answers for these questions. So use these comments and answer all these questions. Read the passage, read the questions, then read the passage again and underline the answers, and then read the comments and start drafting your answer. Right. So this is a very easy lesson that we did today, right? So read the passages even when you get it for the exam. Don't worry, don't get scared when you see the length of the passage. Sometimes they look very big and very long, but it's very simple story and a very simple meaning, right? So read the passage and answer the questions in a complete way so that the examiners can give you all full marks for your answers. Right. So thank you very much, children, for listening to this lesson. I hope you all understood today's lesson. Thank you.